So I, like a silly person, must have deleted the clip in which I'm talking about my TBR. So I'm just gonna do that now. First up was Queer Africa selected stories, and this would satisfy the Own Voices challenge, new authors, POC authors, and rainbow because it's very blue. The next one is Dirty River, a queer femme of color dreaming her way home by Leah Lakshmi Piepzna Samarasinghe. So this satisfies the rainbow challenge because it's very yellow. It's nonfiction, it's a memoir. It features a disabled main character and a POC author. Next is Tentacle by Rita Indiana, something that satisfies the new author challenge, the translated novel. This is translated from Spanish. POC author, and sci-fi fantasy. Next up, we have The Madness Face by Andrea Gibson, and I'm using this for the question mark choose your own challenge for poetry. This is Own Voices, new author, a trans spec main character. Andrea Gibson is non-binary, and rainbow, it's very red. And lastly, we have The Prince and the Dressmaker by Jen Wang. This satisfies the new author challenge, the graphic novel challenge, the POC author challenge, middle grade, historical fiction, and book recommendation. Now, do enjoy the rest of the video. It is Sunday, June 2nd, which means it is the first day of the Queer Lit Readathon. It's 9 p.m, so it's a lot later than I had anticipated my first check-in to be, but I was busy doing other things. I went to a friend's graduation party and drove a bunch of my other friends there as well. It was fun. After that, I came back and I read in entirety The Prince and the Dressmaker by Jen Wang, which is so cute. It is about a prince who likes to wear dresses, and a dressmaker who's really talented. It was a really lovely story. All of the art was amazing, especially about like the dresses, like dress design, which was really fun. And so in reading this, I have knocked off the new author challenge, the graphic novel challenge, the POC author challenge, middle grade challenge, historical fiction challenge, and book recommendation challenge. So that's quite a lot. I don't know how much reading I'll get done tonight. There are a few things that I need to do, like cleaning up wise, but I think next I'll either work my way through Tentacle by Rita Indiana or Dirty River by Leah Lakshmi Piepzna Samarasinghe. These are both library books, so I'd like to get through them a little bit quicker. I'm thinking of starting with Tentacle just because I'm super fascinated about how it's going to turn out, and also everyone who I've talked to about reading it are always like, oh, ha ha ha, it's called Tentacle, therefore it must be about some absurdist erotica, which I don't know. Maybe some absurdist erotica comes in here, but I don't think it is. I just intrigue. So yeah, that's what I will most likely be getting to. Good Monday morning. It is Monday, June 3rd, and it's like 7:30. So I've worked in an hour, but I think until then I'm going to try to get through at least another chapter of Tentacle. I'm currently one chapter in, which is 24 pages, and it's interesting. It's about this girl, Asilde, in Santo Domingo, like post-apocalypse, and it's really interesting the way that like life post-apocalypse is described. So like it hasn't been super explained yet, but there's this thing where like human beings are connected to like a data plan, and like that's physically part of their selves, and like you can like move your fingers in a certain way and you'll be able to like tell the price of something, which is interesting and also a little bit confusing right now. But yeah, so far there's this mysterious anemone, and it's an interesting time. So I'm gonna keep on reading this. Hello. So it is after work, and I just thought I'd update you on where I'm at. I have been working on Tentacle, and I'm currently 44 pages through. So I finished another chapter since last checking in, and I've been introduced to another main character named Argenis, who I don't like just because he's not a great guy. So far he's just kind of a sad, like, artist who makes really sexual comments about women, and then also just like exclusively sexualizes people. I don't know, when he's introducing people, which is just really weird. Like, he talks about how he's uncomfortable with men touching him because he's like, blah, gross. So I just wanted to share that I'm reading this and I realize I've been pronouncing anemone wrong my entire life, because I thought it was anemone, but it's anemone. And it's times like these that I'm like, wow, where did I go wrong? But in other news, it's Tuesday. I think we know that. So it's Tuesday. And I am 70 pages through Tentacle. And it's like interesting. It's really interesting. So we've got two characters now, and I think before I had my existential crisis about how to pronounce anemone, I think we might be having another new character. But we have Isilde, who is living in the future, and then we have Argenis, who's living in 2001, or his storyline takes place in 2001. Isilde is like the future, and now potentially Wolito in another time? I'm not really sure. Also, Argenis is like, his storyline is kind of becoming a little bit like time travel-esque. Like, there's an integration of another time period into it, which is just really weird. But actually very well done. Yeah. Anyway, I'm thinking about this book, and it's interesting because I think I went and I was like, oh, this is gonna be really weird. This is gonna be like something like the weirdest or like the oddest thing that I've read before. When I think, like, compared to, trying to remember the name of a book, compared to Perfume by Patrick Suskind, which is the book about a boy born with like great sense of smell. On the hunt to make a perfume. And Something by Ian Barnes. I'm trying to, like, what is that book? Which is really weird, about this very troubled boy on an island, like very secluded, and just like he like kills bugs for fun. Both of which I think were just like more disturbing, but granted, I'm only halfway through this. This is just really interesting. That's not very specific, but yeah, I'm gonna get back to this. Also, I'm a fan of the cover. Anemone. I apologize for the noise and the cars outside. It's a bit warm, so I need to have the window open. But anyway, I just got back from a very tiring day of work. It's just a lot. I'm really tired. Part of me just wants to watch YouTube videos, but also like I work in front of a computer all day, so not the best idea. Anyway, I wanted to update you on Tentacle. What day is it? It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday the 5th, and I am almost 100 pages through this. It's wild. I think things are starting to fall into place, and what I like about the way that the story is told is that there's this element of multiple time periods, and I found it pretty easy to figure out when a character is in a certain time period. So we have one character who is like simultaneously experiencing life in Santo Domingo in 2027 and life in 1991, and then we have another character who is experiencing life in Santo Domingo in 2001 and in the 17th century. And so I found it interesting how the author has been pretty successful at making clear distinctions between when the characters are in which time, because rather than it being like a time travel and they're like, oh, I am actually in this one singular time period, it is that these two characters are simultaneously in both, which is just wild. Yeah, I'm realizing like I didn't know a lot going into this book, and I think like potential warnings for loads of like homophobic slurs. So the F slur and queer used as a slur, and just a lot of things. We had a really homophobic, really sexist character who is just really not that pleasant. But I don't know, the story is interesting me still, which is great. I went to the library yesterday and got a library card. So I did that, and I went with my girlfriend, and I wasn't planning on getting any books. There was a book that she wanted to check out, which she couldn't because she forgot to bring proof of address. But anyway, these are the books that I did end up getting because I pointed them out to her, and she's like, oh, you should just get them and read them. And I was like, wow, what a concept. The first is Noteworthy by Riley Redgate, which I first heard about from Cece of Problems of a Book Nerd. And it's about a girl who cross-dresses so she can be in an a cappella group. And as someone who likes to sing, I was like, that sounds fun. Like, okay. And then the other thing I'm really excited about is Circe by Madeline Miller, which is a retelling of Circe, who is most prominently known in ancient myth of being like part of Odysseus's journey in the Odyssey. But I have been listening to a podcast That's Ancient History, which is created by Jean from Jean's Bookish Thoughts, who I've been watching for like years. And I was fascinated by the conversations that she had with Madeline Miller on the podcast talking about Circe. And so I saw it and I was like, oh, I can get that. I've kind of just been binging that podcast, and now I'm really interested in like myth and myth retellings, which is not a bad thing. My hair is wild. That's alright. Since my last check-in, I have taken a nap. Great. Eaten dinner. Also great. Finished Tentacle by Rita Indiana. I'm not mad. I think, like, my current impression, like my current thoughts are, this is really interesting and I'm glad that I read it. I think if I were to read this in a class and if I were to write a paper about it and to like go into and explore something, I would probably try and look at the ways like masculinity and homosocial relationships, because there are a lot of like relationships between people who are men or like masculine presenting folk that are like really weird. I think I mentioned in my last check-in that there is this really like sexist and homophobic character who's not great. And like he has such an extreme phobia of like men touching him. And just like that paired with this like artistic ego, I don't know, like his storyline was interesting to me because it was like focused around a group of artists, like performance artists and musicians and photographers and digital artists, and like he's the lone wolf because he paints in a very like classic Goya inspired style, or like his paintings are technically phenomenal for whatever reason. But there's him. I wish I had had more from Asilde's perspective, who is like to me a more interesting character. Yeah, I feel like if I say more, it kind of spoils it a bit. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, so this book met the new author challenge. A new author to me. Translated novel. This is translated from Spanish. POC author. science fiction fantasy, and I didn't know this going in, or like I could have assumed going in, but I try not to assume. There is a trans main character. But that's done. I now can stop feeling weird about having a book called Tentacle with me at work. I would like try to like hide it while I was reading, and like no one asked me what I was reading, so that was good. That was great. Moving on. I think what I'm going to do is start Queer Africa because I'm feeling in the mood for short snippets of things. The other books on my TBR are The Madness Face by Andrea Gibson, which I'm gonna save because part of the reason that I chose that was for the trans main character, or trans spectrum main character, and since I got that from this one, I'm gonna hold off on it. The Madness Face also satisfies like the question marky challenge, which I chose poetry as the question mark. But I think I'm gonna start Queer Africa, not tonight, I'm gonna go to sleep. I think I'm gonna start Queer Africa next, which leaves Dirty River on my TBR, which I also like. This is another one that is like sections of short things, so I might, depending on how I'm feeling tomorrow, I might change my mind between these two. I love voices. I do love it.
Architectural Digest stuff. Are you taking a picture? Oh.
Good Sunday. It is the 8th. It is close to a 5, and I thought I would check in because I haven't in a couple days. I just finished reading Dirty River, A Queer Femme of Color Dreaming Her Way Home by Leah Lakshmi Piepzna Samarasinghe, which I think I was like deciding whether or not I was going to read this in my last check-in, which is yeah. But I finished reading this. I liked it a lot. She spoke my school 2 springs ago, and I just like cried when she was speaking. So I enjoyed reading this, and in doing so, this checked off the Rainbow Challenge because it's very yellow. The non-fiction challenge. It's a memoir. Disabled main character. She walks with a cane, and she's a POC author. So, since it is nearing the end.
You know that centipede looking bug?
Oh my god, is it back? Update. There's this really gross bug. Oh, this is really bad lighting. Anyway, there's this really gross bug that's like a centipede with super long arms. And it attacked me like the 2nd or 3rd day that I was living in this house. My girlfriend found another one. It was just like a baby version, but it sparked memories of the time that I was attacked by the bigger one. Yes, viciously attacked. As I was saying, these are the books that I read this week. The Prince and the Dressmaker by Jen Wang, which I loved and adored and was so cute and it's just adorable. I'm pretty sure I read in like 45 minutes. Tentacle by Rita Indiana, which was weird. Just weird. It's environmental, it talks about queer issues, and like has an interesting conversation about masculinity, but mostly is just like vaguely time travel science fiction. Anemone, which I learned I was pronouncing wrong. Tentacle. And then Dirty River by Leah Lakshmi, Piepsna, Samara Singha. Great. A memoir. Cool. Yeah. And the end. Thank you for watching. I'll see you later.